Yeah. How rude.
Let's get it started.
Elijah's injury is going to mean more snaps for Jordan Mason, tight end Price. What have you seen from those guys, differences from rookie to second year?
Yeah, I've seen big improvements from both of those guys, and I think you kind of said it. You're going to see the biggest improvements from year one to year two. That just kind of seems to be something, league-wide, position-wise. And I've loved what I've seen from both those guys. They've grown so much. They've matured so much. And in this offense, it does a lot to have a year experience under your belt. Get away from it a little bit, kind of let that soak in, and then when you come back, when you starting up, you're not starting from square one. And you can see those guys are just playing faster, more confident. They both came back. Their bodies look better than they did their rookie year, and I just think they both look great.
It seems on days that Christian is out there, he's always going 110 miles an hour, and to me it seems it's rubbed off on the rest of the running backs room. What's it like with Christian behind the scenes? Is he also so energetic in the meeting room and all those places?
Yeah, Christian's always locked in. He's been a phenomenal example for all the RBs in our room. To see a professional like him and a guy, is arguably, in my opinion, the best running back in the league, and works as hard as he does. He doesn't just, he's been doing this for a while now. This isn't his first year being one of the best players in the NFL. And so he doesn't just rest on his morals, know that he's, in a good spot. The guy works his freaking tail off, and all those guys see it, and I think maybe that's why you've seen some of the improvement from these younger guys.
How's Kyle run these practices differently? It's been 7 years now with him, so how much of it is on autopilot? How much of it's new stuff?
That's tough. I feel like that's a pretty layered question. In a sense, I don't feel like too much has changed, but then in another sense, I'd say a lot's changed. I think it's kind of based year by year what the analytics have kind of told us as far as how to run practices. But there's there's some Shanahan staples, and that's when we go to move the ball, you don't know what you're getting. You're going to get any play in the playbook, a play that you've never seen in your life. You have to be ready for it. That's kind of something that's stuck around for a long time. Things that have changed have just kind of been how we structure our our days. We're on this low, high, medium schedule right now in these 3-day blocks. So that's changed from year to year, but it kind of depends on what part of practice you're talking about.
You seem to be repping the wide receiver work there. Is that a show of support? You don't want to play favor?
No, honestly, these are two of my favorite guys on the team, BA and Debo. And speaking of growth, I feel like both of those guys have grown so much. Debo talked about how he's holding himself accountable this year for a big season, and it's just so hard not to recognize how well BA has been playing. He really has been so dominant, and each and every day it seems like he's the best player on the field. So I'm a huge fan of the guys, and I'm excited for the big years they're about to have.
What's your locker?
Honestly, I don't know if anyone's got any juice merch right now. I got to do something about that. Maybe I got to start handing out some things, or maybe I need to just be a nicer guy so people like me more.
Wasn't that many years ago that when players had a day off, the day that they came back was like, all right, you're getting after it today because you were off yesterday.
Right.
But it's so different now. He kind of eased you in today, and tomorrow's the hard. Do you appreciate the way that bodies are taken care of now as opposed to the way they were when you first came in the league?
100%. And what I love is that it's driven in analytics. Like you said, it might, on the surface, it might sound right that, you had a break yesterday, so let's get after it today. When really, they're finding that's where the most injuries happen. And, we're trying to be smart out here. We're not trying to kill each other. We're trying to make it to the season, but also be smart and train our bodies in the correct way. And I think our commitment to that has been pretty awesome. And being able to try out these blocks that, off and off day, we start on a low day and then we go high tomorrow. So I'm super appreciative of that.
With your locker right next to BA, you've seen him throughout his entire 49ers career. What has changed with him emotionally, mentally from his rookie year till now?
I think it's just, confidence and just how he goes about his day to day. I think he, had a big year last year, and it's good to just have that reassurance and know that you are the player who you thought you were, and that you can do the things that you were brought in here to do. Like, he's put it on tape. And once, you have that, it just instills this confidence in everything you do. And it's not even just on the field that I see it from Brandon, is just walking around the locker room and his interactions with everybody and just how he speaks to, players, to coaches. He's a confident veteran now that knows he can accomplish big things out there, and it's awesome to see.
Kyle, what do you think of the kid fullback Coletto, and what's your attitude about sharing wisdom with a guy who's playing your spot?
Yeah. I mean, that's always an interesting line to toe, especially as 11-year guy versus a rookie coming in. And listen, I'm not dumb. I understand, like, this is the NFL. People are here to take your job, and every single year that's going to be the case. But I don't let that stop me from sharing knowledge. If he's going to ask me questions, I'm going to tell him what I think, and I'm going to try and help him the best I can. I'm not saying that I'm going to answer his phone call at midnight and answer all these questions that he may have then, but while we're here, while we're working, he's my teammate, and I do want to see him do well. And I've seen some good things from Jack. He's extremely smart. One of the more impressive rookies I've seen in understanding the playbook. For him, I think it's just about getting opportunities out there to show it. It's not always easy to get a whole lot of reps or opportunities as a fullback going with the 2s and 3s, but I'm sure he'll get those chances in preseason games, and that'll be his op to show what he can do.
Has he called you at midnight?
No, he hasn't.
Kyle, last few years you guys haven't shied away from what the end goal is here. You've been very close. George was talking the other day about how you guys, especially the older nucleus that's been here for a while, openly talk about, like, we got to get through this window before it closes, because you never know when it can happen. How much is that a driving force, and how much urgency do you feel at this stage in your career to get it done and get over the line?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is urgency there, and having been so close, I think drives that urgency even more. I don't know, but then again, I feel like conflicted in even saying that, because there's always urgency. Like, whether you've been close or not, whether you're year 11 or not, like, we're all here to do the same thing. We're here to hold up that trophy at the end of the year. And I think the hardest part is getting there, and then knowing that you don't just get to snap your fingers and, like, you're back in the NFC Championship. It's like, we gotta go through this whole thing again. And I think luckily, because we've done this 3 times now, I think we have a little better understanding of, we have to do this all from square one, and we got to, be ready to go week 1, because those games early in the season affect how things are played at the end of the season. And so that's kind of something that we've stressed, Kyle stressed in the locker room, is getting out to a fast start, because those games really they end up mattering when it comes to seeding and where you're playing in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And, we're a team that is fortunate enough that we can think like that. Like, we're thinking about how these games week 1 are going to affect us in week 20.
How much does, you're talking about, like, the window, and there's no way to know how long that's open, but for a certain nucleus, maybe it's X amount of years, but in terms of having younger guys and making sure they understand what the standard is, who, let's just use IU, Hufanga, Greenlaw, who maybe are not below that superstar level, but if they get there, they can be the difference. How much do you put into making sure that everyone understands, like, that there needs to be that urgency?
Right. Couple things there. Like, I don't feel those guys specifically don't need to be told, because they're just built that way, that they understand. Other younger guys, I think it's at some point that needs to be communicated. They need to feel that. But the other part of me kind of hates that word window, like, as far as like a championship window, only because I think year in and year out, you see guys that you don't expect that step up and end up being stars. And I mean, you listed 2 of them there. Like, I'm sure when we drafted Dre Greenlaw in the 5th round, we weren't expecting him to be he's arguably like an all-pro linebacker, and he wasn't in that window or nucleus of players at one point. and then he goes out there, plays, and shows that he can be one of those guys that's part of that nucleus and in that window. So all I'm really getting at is that we don't even know what guys could be part of that nucleus for this next window. So I try not to get too wrapped up in that, but I think you're right in saying that, you know, we definitely have a team that has a chance to, you know, to win a championship, and we have to make sure that all the young guys that maybe aren't the stars yet understand that, and that some of them are going to be guys that step up and become those stars.
On the topic of making sure that you perform early so you set the table for a playoff run late, you've had both experiences. How much better did your body feel in 2019 when you earned the bye versus years like 2021 and 2022 when it was a bit more?
I think it's night and day, and I don't think you can. I don't think you can argue with the fact that, you know, getting a bye is not an advantage. I think it's just a huge advantage. It's an automatic win, and it's a week of hits that you're not taking on your body, and it's an extra week of preparation. So that, you know, that's huge. And I'm pretty sure, I don't have the stats, but I'm just guessing the last few Super Bowl winners have had first round byes. So, you know, that's definitely, you know, a goal of ours is to get that, and we feel like that, you know, will definitely set you up.
You mentioned that you were excited about how the analytics are factored into these ramp-up days and
Yeah.
kind of the organization of it. I'm curious because you play in such a unique position. Have you taken that analytics a step further in terms of your work quality and how you're looking at what you're doing and getting acclimated for the season?
Right. Yes and no, because you know, I'm on the same program, you know, as the rest of the team when it comes to like ramping, and they really control the reps. You know, I don't really get to control that. But as far as like off-season preparation, I definitely have a feel, having gone through it so many times, of like what I need to do to be prepared for a season, and that definitely has changed throughout the years. And I always try to make a note, like literally a note in my phone, like each year, kind of how I'm feeling at a certain point in the off season, like what were the exercises I was doing on this day a year ago, and like if I feel like I need to change that for the next season.
And how has it changed recently?
As I've gotten older, I honestly, if you want to know the details, like I don't lift as many weights. I don't think that's as big of a deal as it used to be. I think once you've set a foundation kind of in your youth, it's easy to kind of just maintain that and worry about other things. As far as me, it's more, you know, explosive movements, change of direction, a lot more running and conditioning. It's just, and that's, a lot of that is age, and that's also like, it's a different league now. I'm not blocking 260 pound inside linebackers, you know, like most inside linebackers are 230. So, you know, I'm just dealing with different people.
Tom, maybe a little off, because I think the first practice you had a hold on the kicks because Mitch was out. Does that in any way give you a little more connection to the kickers just going through that, or is it completely?
Yeah, actually it does. I hadn't had a conversation with Zane or Jake before that, and I mean, thrust into action, and we're talking about, you know, how do they want the ball leaned towards me, away from them, and, you know, that kind of stuff, and then we have, it's like any relationship. Relationships are built through shared experiences. And so just the fact that for one day I held like 4 field goals for them, and we now have like a connection, and I can say hi to them in the cafeteria, and we have something to talk about.
What did you think of? I mean, Moody is the one we're thinking of, but what did you think thinking about these two kickers?
I'd be lying to you if I said outside of that day of me holding that I paid too much attention, but I've read some numbers on Twitter. It seems like they're both putting them through the uprights. And
Don't listen to them.
The more makes, the better. So it seems like they're doing pretty well, though.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.